So it's getting to be that time of the year, and I wanted to take a look back at the apps that I've been using throughout the year and how they've really helped me move forward with my working life. These can be apps that I either found this year or that I've rediscovered this year or even that I've just taken more advantage of this year. So I'm going to go through a whole list of apps and I'm hoping you guys find something in this list that can help you as well. So let's take a look at the first category, productivity. First up is Todoist. Todoist is my task manager of choice, and I've tried a lot of different task managers throughout the year. What's great about Todoist, it has a quick and simple design. It uses natural language input so you can add tasks really quickly. You can organize things with projects and groups. It's incredibly quick and easy to use. I'm not somebody that wants to get stuck using a task manager for half the day trying to figure out what I need to do for the rest of the day. Automation also plays a huge role into it as well. Todoist is web-based, so you can use things like IFTTT or the Echo to add tasks to your Todoist app. So it's really handy to have, especially if you're looking for some sort of automation and some other way to add tasks that are repeating or something that you just need to do quickly. Next up is Do, and this is the DUE app. It's not really a task manager. I think a lot of people think of it as one, but for me, it's more of a timer app. I use it to tell me when I need to do laundry or trash or even to pay bills. Automation also plays a huge role into this app. I think for me personally, I think the ability to automate a lot of my tasks with Todoist and Do has played a huge role into this year, that I've been able to get stuff that I normally would forget about a lot, like taking out the trash on my way to work. Has been really, really handy for me. Fantastical has been my calendar app for years. It's a great design for easy input, just like Todoist. It uses natural language. But the best feature for me, the game-changing feature that absolutely has me sticking with Fantastical all the time, and I'm sure there's other apps that do that, but it's the ability to go in and change what happens when you tap on an address. For me, I live in an area that's a city, but then going 10 minutes in any direction can be a really rural area. So Apple Maps doesn't always keep up with it very well, so I want to be able to use Google Maps. So if you go into settings, I change Fantastical. Every time I tap on an address, it opens up in Google Maps. That has been huge for me. Numbers is one of those things I have a love-hate relationship. I absolutely hate spreadsheets. I like numbers because it's not complex as Excel. Excel, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff in. I absolutely know that, but I don't want to do that. Numbers has the features I need because I don't want to spend a ton of time in spreadsheets. I want to do what I need to do and get out. So that's why I've always really liked Numbers. I understand the appeal of Excel, but for me, Numbers is my go-to. I've tried a lot of email apps this year, but Spark, hands down, has been the best for dealing with large amount of emails. The ability to quickly snooze emails and archive stuff. It also has the smart inbox features, so it kind of thinks this is the stuff that I want to see first, and honestly, it does work really well, at least for me and the stuff that I've been doing. The next category is writing. And the first app right out of the box isn't even a third-party app. It's Apple Notes. I switched Notes app like candy, but since iOS 11 beta came out, I've really stuck with the Apple Notes app. There's a lot of things to really like about it. It's a really well-rounded app. I really like the Apple Pencil support, so like being able to tap on the lock screen with the Apple Pencil to write a quick note. Drag and drop is absolutely fantastic. It makes it great when I'm organizing the notes and the description for these videos. Sync is absolutely fantastic. I haven't had any syncing issues. Collaboration has been really handy the couple of times I've actually needed it. Overall, I just think Apple Notes has been a fantastic app to use. Ulysses is my go-to markdown editor. I use it for writing scripts and blog posts. It's definitely more than what I need, but it's nice to be able to customize it to the way I want. Themes have been huge. The ability to make a custom theme and design the way I want my markdown scripts and blog posts and stuff to look have been fantastic, and export presets even more. The ability to design the way a PDF is going to look has been fantastic. Unfortunately, with those two things, you have to have a Mac currently in order to do those. I also really like the way it handles links in Markdown. I may use Ulysses as my go-to markdown editor, but I do still keep editorial around. It's a fantastic app, and it's been built from a developer that really understands what a full-featured markdown text editor really needs to be. It has the ability to create Python scripts in it so you can run them against your documents. It's especially handy for the next app I want to talk about. Notability is a fantastic note-taking app if you want to take handwritten notes. I know a lot of people prefer handwriting notes, and with the Apple Pencil, I think for a lot of people it's just as good as writing on pen and paper. In my case, I export large scripts and blog posts and sit back with my Apple Pencil and mark them up for any changes that need to be made so I can go back and fix them. The next category is creativity. And first up is LumaFusion. LumaFusion is the app that allows me to make all of my videos completely off the iPad. It's a multi-track video editor that's very powerful considering it's an iOS app. I'm able to edit 4K video in real time with no major issues on my iPad Pro. The app is constantly getting updated to support new features, so if you're interested in filmmaking at all, I highly recommend you check it out. I absolutely love this application. Affinity Photo is probably the second most powerful app on iOS. This completely replaced Photoshop for me. I make all of my thumbnails using this video. I also make edits to any personal photos here. It's a crazy powerful app that just allows you to edit all sorts of things when it comes to photos. Bez is a vector making app, very similar to Adobe Illustrator. I've used this to make all the gradient backgrounds for my video, and I also am using this for a large project I'm not quite ready to talk about yet, but I'm going to do a behind the scenes video on it when it is done. Ferrite is designed to record and edit spoken word audio. I use this app to record all of my VO and then move it into LumaFusion. This is a great app if you want to produce a podcast for iOS, whether it's even the recording or editing side. The next category I wanted to touch briefly on is development. Development is something that's kind of not fully baked on iOS just yet, but it is totally possible. And the first app I wanted to talk about is Swift Playgrounds. I've been working on a couple of different iOS apps over the last couple of years, and I've been using Swift Playgrounds to learn my way around Swift. It's really not just for kids, and if you wanted to get into iOS development or even coding, I highly recommend you check it out. There's a lot of great lessons, and even if you just want to play around in an empty playground, it's really easy and really fun to kind of learn your way around. For when I do want to do a bit of development work on my iPad, I've been using Coda. Coda has been a Mac application that's been around for a really long time, and the iPad and iOS implementation is absolutely fantastic. Coda is such a well-rounded development app, I can almost guarantee it'll fit any general coding workflow. If you're wanting to do code on an iPad, I highly recommend starting with Coda. Every computing platform has utilities, and iOS is no exception. iOS has a crazy ton of utility apps, and I think they have some of the best. First up, the one that I want to talk about is Noisio. And Noisio is a noise app. It creates all different manner of noises, and you can mix them together. So you can mix together ocean sounds with rain and night sounds that have bugs in it, and campfire or river sounds, or all sorts of different things. There's coffee houses, there's a farm, all sorts of awesome things. They even added a store so you can go in and buy more if you don't like the default ones or if you want something very particular. This really helps me focus while I'm writing. A lot of times for me, music can just be way too distracting, and this is a great way to fall back on. I made a video about shelf apps, and in the video I talked about how Yoink is my favorite of the bunch. Yoink's purpose is to be a temporary storage area that takes advantage of drag and drop. This means I can save files here while I'm working on projects and I need to get to them quickly. I really like how Yoink handles multiple files by creating stack when files are added to the app, so multiple files will basically be stacked into one little bunch, so it's easy to find them and easy to get to everything. Blink is the app I use to create iTunes affiliate links. It's also really handy because it has great search, so when the App Store search fails me, I always fall back to Blink. Like Blink, Associate creates affiliate links, but for this time it creates it for Amazon products. These two apps have really helped me speed up my workflow when creating the descriptions for these videos and blog posts, and they're well worth the money if you use affiliate links. Since iOS 11 took away the Twitter and Facebook sharing buttons, I needed a new way to share articles to social media. And here's where Linky comes in. You can share articles to all sorts of different social media accounts, and the really great feature is you can share them to multiple social media accounts at once. Transmit is how I move files to my server. Transmit has been an FTP client on the Mac for years, but its iOS app is amazing. It has a simple, clean, fast design, and with this extension, it's really easy to move any file to your server or to any sort of FTP place that you have. It's also really easy to be able to pull files off of that server as well. Opener is one of those utilities I can't live without now. When on a web page, use Opener's extension and it'll take that page and open up in the native iOS app. It even works with third-party apps like Tweetbot and ProTube. This is such a handy utility. When I first got it, I kind of overthought it, but now I don't think I could use iOS without it. Launcher is an app that creates shortcuts to actions. For me, I have a bunch of do timers that I use a launcher widget for to control. I use this for a laundry timer, a work and break timer, and a few other things. Launcher is just a handy utility to have around, and you can put it straight in the widget view, and you really, once you have it set up, if you don't need to add anything to it, you don't ever have to open it again. I use the widget utility is pretty much the only thing I use from it now. Dark Sky, in my opinion, is one of the best weather apps on the App Store. It's a simple design and it shows you the information you need and nothing more. The claim to fame for the app is the notification around rain. It'll tell you when it's going to start raining, for how long, and when it's going to stop. It's a really handy utility, especially for where I live, where it doesn't rain very often, and you can get caught off guard when it does. The best calculator on iOS is pCalc. If you find Apple's calculator limiting or the design to be annoying, I really recommend you check it out. If you're interested in changing app icons to all sorts of different cool things, check out pCalc. Also, I'm going to say this, check out the About screen. You can thank me later. There's a really cool game hidden in there. When Files was announced at WWDC, I wasn't sure I was going to use it. I had things like Dropbox already and I was fine, but now that it's here, it's really handy to have. Having all of my storage options in one place has been super valuable. Plus, the drag and drop support features in the app itself is really handy to move files quickly around so you don't have to keep using the share sheet to move stuff. Workflow is one of those apps that its existence makes my life so much easier. I have a series on iPad automation that's based all around this app, and I will link to the videos below. I have more planned in the future. But basically, Workflow is an automation app that allows you to chain multiple actions together. If you're serious about working off iOS, I highly recommend you check this app out. It'll make your life so much easier. So next up, and it's not really apps, it's services. But they all have app components that I feel really benefit a lot when you're using iOS. When iCloud Drive was launched, I didn't think much of it. I was using Dropbox, and Dropbox was leagues beyond iCloud Drive, and is still in a lot of ways. But what's great about iCloud Drive is how it works with files. Dropbox is still a little buggy when it works with the Files app, but iCloud Drive works perfectly. I also have a lot of extra storage space, and I wanted to keep my video files separate from my documents and personal stuff, so iCloud Drive is the perfect place for that. Dropbox is the king of cloud storage because of its syncing, collaboration, and file management. This year, Dropbox got a redesign, and I absolutely hate it. But luckily for me, file support fixed that. Though Dropbox support is a little bit buggy, I can still get it to work for what I need. IFTTT is a simple to use automation web service. It works by waiting for one action to be triggered and then causes another action to happen automatically. I use this for creating grocery lists with my Echo, controlling lights, and creating calendar entries. It's a very basic form of web automation, but the best part of it is it's free and it's really easy to learn. Backblaze isn't really even a service for iOS, it's a service really for the Mac, but I use it to back up my server, and through the iOS app I can get access to my files that are backed up. This can be really handy if I need an older file or something that's just not on my iPad. I switched from Spotify to Apple Music when Apple Music launched for a few reasons. First, I have a lot of music that isn't on either service, a lot of mashups and things like that. And Apple Music, when you add stuff to iTunes, it'll automatically sync it to my iOS devices. Second, being able to use Siri to get music is huge for me. Siri is just a really convenient way to launch certain albums or artists or things like that. Third, I just really like the service. I know a lot of people don't, but for me, it's fine. The final category I want to talk about is entertainment. Plex is one of those apps that's changed my life. I don't have cable and I really hate plastic discs like Blu-ray, so I rip all of my movies and host them on my server. Then Plex goes through and organizes them and adds all the metadata like posters, titles, what kind of resolution it's at, audio, actors, directors, all that stuff. If you're interested in something like this, I think Plex is the best place to start. Read It Latest services are a dime a dozen, but what keeps me coming back to Instapaper is its design. It has different forms of dark mode, which is awesome, and it's easy to add an article to its service. You can move articles around into different bins for better organization as well. Tweetbot is my go-to Twitter client. Twitter can't seem to make a first-party app that works correctly. What's great about Tweetbot is it takes advantage of the full size of the iPad with 2 columns. It also keeps true chronological timeline unlike the Twitter app, and of course, dark mode. I love podcasts. I listen to all of them in Overcast. It has a great design and it even just added a black theme for the iPhone X. Drag and drop support is built in for rearranging podcasts and playlists. The killer feature is Smart Speed. This will speed up the silence while listening to a podcast, so it will play faster, but the people won't sound like chipmunks. Last but not least is YouTube. Since I've been doing these videos, I've started watching so much more, and there's so much great content out there. I want to take a minute and thank all of you for a great year for the channel. This has been a fantastic experience, and I'm looking forward to 2018 as well. I want to know what your must-have apps for 2017 were. I plan on doing this every year, but my goal is to have new apps on this list every year. I really want to keep trying out new apps, and I don't want to get stuck using the same apps throughout the year. Links to all the apps will be in the description below. If you haven't already and you like what I do with this channel with iOS and iPad stuff, please like and subscribe the video and the channel. Thank you guys so much. Have a great year.